Well, hello there. Welcome to the Obi Thorn Alliance. I'm Jacob,
And I'm Luke.
and in today's video, we are reviewing and discussing Joe Bell. Let us know your thoughts about the movie. Did you like it? Didn't you like it? Let's keep the conversation going in the comments section. Like and subscribe, it helps out the channel quite a lot. And to start off with the summary, basically Joe Bell is a true story about a man named Joe Bell starring Mark Wahlberg. And basically it's a story about self-discovery and a man deciding to take up arms against people kind of being anti-homosexual and trying to stand up and giving some awareness to the cause and kind of spreading the good word and kind of being a better father and kind of realizing, coping with what happened with the story in his best way as a parent can. How did you like the movie, Luke?
Yeah, I thought it was really enjoyable. It was a movie I wasn't too interested in seeing at first, but knowing that Mark Wahlberg was in it was the reason for me to watch it, because he doesn't tend to be in anything bad. He's my favorite actor, so I just knew if he's in it, it's probably going to be good. I watched the trailer the day before I decided to see it, and I thought the concept of this and being a true story, I think sounds really cool. But I don't know if I'm going to love it. And, you know, I was thoroughly impressed from what I saw. Seeing a man wanting to walk from one side of America to the other to get to New York City, to raise awareness about bullying, just sounds like a really good story. And knowing that it was a true story just raised it for me. But, you know, it didn't come without its twists and turns. Having not heard of the true story of Joe Bell, the whole going to the show, I was only sure of one thing, that the trailer gave away. But beyond that, I didn't know what else was going to happen. And in the spoilers, I'll discuss it, but I was a bit surprised by the ending. What else would you like to add to the summary? So it's about bullying. He goes for the walk.
Yeah.
And then we get a few twists and turns along the way. This movie is filmed in quite a unique way. So we have the main timeline going along where he's on his journey, he's on the walk, but then with the flashbacks of showing why he's on the walk, which I think was a cool way of doing it, opposed to this happened, oh no, I'm going to go on this walk. He's on the walk, and we're finding out as he's walking why. And they do this in a clever way. So how do they add these flashbacks into the timeline in a way that really, I think, made it special?
Basically, different times. So basically, he's going through the motions, and then we get to see what led up to him going through the walk. So some people might not like two different perspectives, but I feel like the movie does a really good job of doing it, even for a true story. So I think they did it well.
Yeah, so whilst on the walk, he's talking to his son.
Yeah.
And being a true story, this is not uncommon knowledge. His son has passed away, and that's why he's going on the walk. The movie kind of tries to get you with this shock factor when it's explicitly said, but it'd be assumed that everyone going to this movie would already know this. So he's on this walk, he's talking to his son, which could be a metaphor for talking to his own head or having imaginary conversations, because he's on these long walks. And then through the conversations with his son's telling him about things, or he's asking his son about why he did certain things, and then we get the flashbacks to explain it. And I just think it was a really good way to get you gripped throughout the show of what's happening.
Yeah.
Having said that, what kind of rating do you do you give this show? Like, for a true story, how does one rate a true story?
Well, I guess because it actually happened, like, not everyone's going to like it as much, but I feel like because it happened, this actually happened to someone in real life. So for me, I really enjoyed it. It got really emotional. But I can understand because it's not for everyone. I think it has a couple of problems, but I still think it deserves a high score. So I'm going to give it a 4.5.
Yeah, I think it's a really good rating, and I think the same as well. I think it's definitely not going to be for everyone. There's going to be people that they might not be interested in the topic. It might be too close to home. It might be something they're just completely unaware of. It is kind of your indie film that's recorded in a certain way, or it's not made to be it's not. I don't think it's made for everyone, but the audience it's made for, I think it nails it. I think for a movie I wasn't expecting I wanted to see, I came out entertained. I think the time went really quick, and that's why I was shocked with the ending, because I just didn't realize it was coming. I didn't know how long the film was, and that really shocked me when it ended. And for that, I think it's a 4.5 as well. I think it did what it was meant to do well. I don't think you could have done anything differently or better. And because it's a true story, you can't go, well, I would have liked the ending to be like this. Well, it's a true story. You can't change the ending. So for that, I think it makes it a 4.5 stars. Mark Wahlberg was exceptional. The young man that played his son did a really, really good job. And I just think the timeline was done in a way. If they got the timeline wrong, this movie could have been horrible, but I liked the order. I really felt that I was present, but also getting an explanation and unpeeling a layer upon layer as I went. So it just made it more special, finding out these little secrets along the way that just built onto this bigger story.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah. Moving away from that, getting into a few more spoilers, what do you think? What are some talking points that someone that's seen the movie might want to hear our thoughts on?
I'd probably have to say the big twist, probably how he's been with his son. Someone might have that didn't see the trailer or expect the big reveal, because I got it from the first scene, but someone might have been like, oh, it's just a man and his son going for a nice walk. But until they reveal it he goes to this gay bar, he has a conversation with his son, and then what if you didn't get it from any other previous night? It should have been suspicious because the son doesn't go with him. And then basically he goes to the gay bar. He's having conversations with a male and a female, and then he meets this
drag queen.
Yeah, and then the drag queen wants Joe Byrne to dance with him, and then they have more conversations, and then she asks, why are you here? Why are you always walking? And then it's like, oh, I'm raising awareness for my dead son, and then yeah, that's basically the big twist. And then when he's finished all that, his son isn't in the room. So yeah,
I think it'd be an interesting journey for someone that didn't know that or didn't pick it up, because
yeah,
the way they order it, it's believable that the son's on there, because nothing up to that point gave it away explicitly that he was dead.
No.
And then from that we hear it, and then we see the days that led up to and why he took his own life. So it was done really well in that way. Another talking point for me, I think, is probably the ending.
Okay, yes.
I think is very shocking to find out that he didn't complete his journey and make it to New York City. He was actually hit by an alleged driver that was asleep at the wheel.
Truck driver,
yeah. So I don't know how truthful that was, but he was definitely hit and struck and died. whether his conversation with the police officer the day before,
And
if the conversation, if they happen in that exact order, I don't know whether that's just for cinematic purposes. But that came out of nowhere. Like, there was no way of knowing that was going to happen without seeing the real life story. Like, as you said, you picked up on the son, but yeah, I think the death of Joe was unforeseen.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that upsets me, that I would have liked to have seen him complete his journey, but it's true life. We can't undo true life.
No.
I think maybe that's what makes it better, because, you know, in every movie you expect there to be the hero that completes the mission or saves the day, and we're left with not that, but his missions, he's still somewhat completed his mission because they made a movie about him.
Yeah.
We're talking about him right now. So he raised awareness. He just isn't around to see the impact of his journey.
Yeah. Did you like how they kind of showed important scenes of how the son, like, the parents did love him, but how the son he joined the cheerleading group, and then he did different things, and it's like that never happened in that town before?
Yeah, as to how truthful that was, and looking back, that was like 2012, 2013, not growing up in a small town in America, we don't really know how truthful that is, but they made you feel it, that he was unwanted. Even his parents, who loved him, felt for him and wanted him to maybe be different than what he truly was, or to hide his true self, because the impacts would be, you know, he's going to get bullied, he's going to get bashed, he's going to get segregated, and they didn't want that for him. And I think that's the takeaway mission for me, that even as accepting as you can be of someone's self or their sexuality, that sometimes you accepting them but then telling them to hide it because other people don't, that can be more detrimental. That this boy may have felt loved at home, but the fact that his parents are like, we love you for who you are, but please don't be who you are because you're going to get bullied, almost makes it worse than if he just knew that they're like, no, do what you want, we love you, and if people bully you, we'll deal with it later. So he was torn between, even the people that loved him didn't fully accept him.
Yeah.
And the scene you're talking about where the cheerleading and they're in the rain and people are yelling at him and throwing stuff at him, how you think the parents were going to stand up for him, but they just left because they
were ashamed.
And it showed that they're ashamed even though they loved him.
Yeah.
And it's just a different type of emotion that you don't get from other movies, I think. So we both given it a high score. It's hard to nitpick something that's a true story because it's too late to undo it. We've highlighted the really good performances that are in it. Who do you think is going to enjoy this movie the most?
I would probably say people that probably are going through the same thing. Probably the homosexual community, that sort of community, and probably maybe parents to understand as well. Like Joe Byrne and his wife aren't the only ones that went through it. They probably just went through it a darker way.
Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately.
And it's probably not for everyone.
No.
You know, it's some people may not feel for it, they may not enjoy it. It might just be a bit slow for the pace for them. I don't think it was a slow movie, but some people, if you're not interested in the topic, you're just like, this is a movie about nothing, but which it's not. But some people, if you're not interested in the topic, you won't find anything to relate to it.
Yeah.
But I think for two straight males, I think we've liked it and we took something away from it. So if we can, I feel like most people could too. But I really hope that, I don't know, it gets the conversation going for more people. It was a movie that I don't think got much of attention. It was like one of the only things on a random Thursday that I went to go see. So it's it definitely isn't like a blockbuster. So I'm hoping that it gets the attention it deserves, especially with someone like Mark Wahlberg in it.
And how did you feel about two scenes in particular? The scene that the son got bashed and by the Gridiron team and kind of made to believe that it was his fault by the school and no, you need to go to a different school, and I don't know, from that point it's like, oh, the school system isn't looking good here, making out like it's the victim's fault. It's like, oh, that's not
Yeah,
good.
I guess it'd be interesting to know how much of that is true, and if not, would they be allowed to put it in a movie? Because then is that kind of is that making accusations without any evidence because it is a movie, or is that not considered illegal? I'm not sure, but I feel like a part of it was true.
Yeah.
And if it is, that's actually really sad that a school would, instead of addressing the bullies, they tell the bullied person to go to another school.
Yeah.
And again, is that just not because the school was bad? The school is like, well, we can get these boys in trouble, but there's only going to be more boys that come and do this to you. Like, maybe you're better off not being yourself. Maybe you're better off going somewhere else, which is almost more upsetting, I think, for someone being told that it is better for you to change than us to ask everyone else to change.
Yeah.
And I guess these all way up to the tipping point of when he took his own life. But it was a shocking scene. It very much had that 13 Reasons Why vibe that Hannah's gone to ask for help and then being told they've made the victim feel like they're the problem. Victim blaming, and then that led to suicide again. So I think it has a very strong message in those scenes.
And the other scene, we both saw it a different way when Joe got the gun and then the son came in the car. You thought he was going to shoot the boys that basically caused the whole thing, and I saw it as more he was going to take his own life.
Yeah, for some reason I had the feeling he was going to go shoot someone, whether it was the principal or he was going to do something, or maybe not even shoot them. He was just going to go threaten someone, but he needed the gun for like a bit of protection. But yeah, you saw it as him taking his own life, and I don't know. I guess my reason why I don't think that was the case is because there was no other reference on his walk as to him being like, oh, I could have taken my life, or I should. It was to me, I felt like he was more of an angry person. He was going to do something out of spite and revenge, opposed to taking his life. But I guess we don't know, and we may never know, and that's the beauty of interpretation.
Yeah. And I guess the mother of the friend would feel pretty bad about not accepting the drive back. The movie makes you believe that was the turning point, but was it? Who really knows?
Yeah, that he'd
asked for help.
Yeah, the movie makes you believe the sequence was he got abused, bashed by these boys. He asked for help. The principal said, "Go somewhere else. I'm not doing anything about it." He then calls his friends upset because he's written a suicide note. They have all either not answered, or they've answered, but their mum's like, "No, we're not helping him. We're not going back." And then he's gone and taken his life. Whether that was the exact order, I'm not sure. But if it was, you'd think that the parent that avoided going and picking him up when he was in tears on the phone would definitely feel very bad about what happened. But whether or not that's a realistic telling, like he may have reached the voicemail or something, but it seems better for the movie to do it that way. But overall, it's the nitpicks for this show aren't about what could have been done better, it's more about what the people inside in real life should have done better. So it's really achieved what it wanted to. We're talking about the topic, and maybe I'd like to do some more research and find out if maybe at the town or the school where he is, maybe have they made a difference? Has there been someone made accountable, or they've got different policies now? Something I'd be interested to know about.
And what's your thoughts about Joe Burns' anger shown when the son didn't put down the toilet seat and then got cranky?
I think that scene was thrown in there to make us see the bad side of Joe, because throughout he was kind of made to be a good guy, even though he's not the reason his son died, but I feel like he probably could have did a bit more, but they really portrayed that he did love his son. He was just somewhat embarrassed by him. But then that was the tipping point of showing, you know what, you're actually quite abusive. Like you can be aggressive, and that's why, like, you need to go on this walk and don't come back until you've sorted this out.
Did you find it funny how the walk started? The wife was like, "Oh, you need to go outside, do something with yourself, just go for a walk around the street." And then he's like, "I'm going to New York. I'm going to do it for my son. That's where he was going to go to college. I'm going to New York."
Yeah, he goes from just a walker, go clear your head, to I'm going to walk for 6 months, and I don't know how long it would have taken him, the whole thing, maybe 12 months or so. I don't know how far along he was, but
who knows?
Yeah, it's a big extreme to the other, isn't it?
Guess when your mindset is kind of, you need, like I said, self-discovery, you need something to clear your head. And I guess, because you previously said that you found, you would like to see more people, like, showed more kindness throughout the movie to him.
Mm-hmm.
There's one person that gave him, like, nice equipment.
Yeah, I don't know if they, for cinematic purposes, didn't show it, but I would have thought that people would have given him more stuff along the way. Like, if he's on the news and walking that far, I would have thought he would have been world famous. But maybe not. Maybe he died before he became world famous, or maybe it was just a time where it wasn't importance. But I know if someone tried to walk that far across Australia and trying to raise awareness, they'd certainly be they'd be famous and people would follow them. And I know you even look at movies like Forrest Gump. I know it's not real, but he went for a long run and he had people join him. You'd think this guy would have had people on the walk with him, but whether there was or wasn't, the movie portrayed as though he did this by himself. And then people stole his stuff, and I question why he didn't take it into the motel. But he didn't. He left it outside, and then didn't understand why someone stole it. So again, whether real life versus cinematic purposes, who knows?
And did you like the last scene of the movie, how we got to see the father and son kind of in this, like, sugarcane field?
Oh, yeah, it's your typical, like, afterlife scene they like to chuck into movies, so it was okay. Was it needed? I don't know. I don't think it made any difference to the movie.
And then the last credits basically say that Joe Bell died from a truck driver that fell asleep, and then we actually get to see the photos of the real people. And how did you feel like they cast it close to the real people? Or?
I think they did, except for I think Mark Wahlberg didn't quite look like the guy that he was meant, the real Joe Bell, but I think it was probably better. You know, they wanted Mark Wahlberg. They didn't need a lookalike for Joe Bell. I think they needed a superstar that could pull it off, and I think he did. And we've said before that I think the only other person that maybe could have pulled this off was maybe Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm sure others could pull it off, but that's the only other believable person I see that could do it. You know, he kind of similar to the character to A Star Is Born. I think he would have portrayed it. Based on that, would have been a very close match for Joe Bell.
Yeah. And did you like how they cast the son as well?
Yeah, I think the son looked very much like him. As to how accurate the son is, I'm not sure, but it looked. I thought he looked pretty spot on, to be honest. Nearly looked like the exact person.
Well, thank you for helping, Luke.
Right.
Hope you enjoyed our review of Joe Bell. Let us know if you liked it or not. See you in the next video. Like and subscribe. Let the first be with you. Bye-bye.